thought there'd be more here first game.
Winter Olympics.
I forget the one with the ice skating where everyone fell over and he come. Might be a Bradbury.
What'd Rossi say?
Oh, sorry, wasn't listening.
A lot of work to do in little time.
Don't get much away, Ross, does he?
Unlike yourself, who's about to just tell us everything. Look, probably... a rap with the way he's approaching things also.
I think there was 4 posts down either end. It's about Eddie had size and there was some lines on it, mate.
Didn't know what was going on there for a while, did he, Chappie? He'd playing with strangers.
It's like anything, it's creating synergy.
If we win, we'll tick it. If we lose, I'll make an excuse.
But it's just that synergy that they have to create.
What do you look like next? I think you're Alice Springs, or what do you look like? How many years?
Yeah, we're at Wangaratta. Very close to Alice Springs.
You know, Mumford creating synergy with his new on-ballers, Heath and Josh.
Just a minor thing you expect him next week.
Yeah, he's walking to his media band and tripped over there, so...
That synergy needs, it's only going to grow and grow and grow.
Scotty, just ask one question. You can't walk in... All right? I'm just impressed with them. Yeah, I should have got out like that.
It's a peculiar reality. It's a special kind of strange. Mark Thompson, welcome.
Hey, Jared, new buddy.
Roosie again.
Welcome, Roosie.
Roosie, how are you?
Together. What's the history like between the two of you? You've been on footy fields together. You've coached.
Been at the same ground
each other.
a lot of times.
2005 semi-finals.
Oh, we don't want to talk about that one.
Talk to that one.
We've been on the same ground, but we haven't really talked that much, do we?
Well, I think we would have played state footy together.
Yeah.
But when you're an interstate club, you don't... I mean, that's one of the downfalls about being in Sydney, particularly one team. The only time you ever really talk to the other coaches is on game day. Well, we obviously have our coaches association meetings and so forth. But it is one of the downsides about being an interstate coach in what was a one-team town.
Yeah.
That was a pretty interesting coaches meeting the other day, we're here.
Yeah. I was just going to say that we've only had words once.
Yeah, once.
Yeah. When?
Yeah.
When?
It was over Mumford.
Mumford. Yeah.
Oh, when you were trying to steal his ruckman.
I took his third ruckman, though. I told him.
He wasn't playing him.
That's what I said to him.
No, he would have been
That's exactly what I said. Thanks, Robert.
And that's what just said to Shane. I'll play you, Shane. I'll give you a bucket of money and I'll play you every week.
Did you ring him up? How did you just talk about it?
I don't know what happened.
I think we spoke on the last day of trade week and Mark...
Mark?
Said he wasn't happy. Mark? No, we had a good conversation. That was fine. Then we moved on.
Yeah, we moved on. Yeah,
we disagreed.
How was it, right? How was the coaches meeting?
It's like you've got to move on.
I'm moving on. How about you moving away from me? We spent every Monday here last year in a high intensity day. Monday seemed to be really high intensity last year, and I come in. Not that you're...
What's wrong with me?
Nothing, you're fine.
I'm happy to have a new break, mate.
New move
start.
over there.
Fresh start, I wanted with Jared.
Yeah, I wonder if they can... Anyway, we'll move on.
What?
Is there...
What did the club orchestrate this?
I don't know, mate.
Do you know?
You can't think there wouldn't be any fallout, Robbo, can you?
I don't mind fallout. I don't mind criticism. I don't mind everything. If you're going to be so childish to ring up 360 producers and say, oh, Bomber can come on, but he's not allowed to sit next to me. Oh, what are we, in grade 5? Treat it as... I mean, I know he's upset. I know he's upset, but to separate us and demand it?
No, that's fine.
Pathetic.
No, that's pathetic.
Anyway, let's talk about footy, Roosie.
Good idea.
Let me ask about the reality of coaching. So there's been some research done last year with 12 of the 18 coaches agreeing to anonymous interviews to describe the special kind of peculiar that it is, and it appeared in yesterday's Sunday Age, and specifically relating to the way that it manifests on you. Sleeplessness, stress levels, loneliness, bad moods, those sorts of things. What's the reality like of being a senior coach?
Well, I mean, I think certain coaches will cope with things differently. We're all individuals, but probably as a collective. I mean, the main thing is you think about footy 24 hours a day, basically. I mean, if you're asleep, you know, you're not necessarily dreaming it, but I guess that's the point of the article. You know, you are thinking whether you're picking a team late in the week, Bomber, or whether you're just dissecting the game. You're always sort of thinking about, what am I going to do here? What should I do here? Who should be playing? So I think that'd be the common thread, I would think.
Those words that you just said on air were pretty much on the mark.
How do you break it then? Do you must set aside hours a day to do something where you can't think about football, be it playing with your kids or going for a run. I know if you're going for a run, you'd be thinking about footy as well. What do you do to stop thinking about
again, I think it's different. But I think you're absolutely right, Rob. You have to set aside time. You have to try and distance yourself from the game. It's very hard to do. Probably a lot easier when I was in Sydney, I must admit. But it is hard to do. But you do have to do that. I think the other thing that maybe coaches don't do enough of is at the end of the season take a really good break. You know, a good 3 or 4. So they're actually separating seasons.
When would you take your break though?
Well, it's hard now, I notice, because of the trade week. The trade week goes for three weeks, which makes it even harder. But I think you've got to make an effort to actually do that.
You spoke about struggling to sleep that first night, your brain overload. And from the role which you had played last year, Bomber, which was really important, compared to the role you got this year when it's absolutely all-encompassing, how much has your brain changed?
Too much. And I've got to learn how to do that again, but get away from it, because I'm just doing it 24 hours a day. I'm not sleeping that well. Just because I'm waking up thinking about footy, what I want to do, how I want to play, the things we have to do in this year that we've got together.
Is it necessary to be obsessive about it, or is it actually not a choice?
I reckon the good ones are.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
And I reckon once you've been there a few years and you've set the place up, it's a bit easier. But, you know, we've still got no general manager of footy. We still need to do things. So my mind is just full of, like, what we have to do.
When you was listening to those names that Jared was just talking about there, did that cast your mind back to your final year at Geelong?
The words, or?
Yeah, you know, the pressure, the sleeplessness, the loneliness, I suppose, in some ways. Was that because at the end of Geelong you said you'd had enough?
That's exactly what I was feeling.
Oh, really?
They only interviewed me for that study, I think.
I think Danny Frawley made a good point last week, Bomber, I think at the coaches conference, when he said that, I mean, transition's a big part for the Coaches Association, and he said the majority of the guys that have transitioned out have been so relieved when they've left. Yeah. So relieved. So, I mean, that's a bit of an indictment on the industry for such a prestigious role. I mean, we're all really fortunate to do it, but he did say they were all very, very relieved when they left.
The scrutiny's enormous. I mean, you've got your own pressures within the club to perform week in, week out. So, sitting on the couch last year, Roosie, watching Mark Neal, right, and you've taken over from his club. Watching Mark Neal and seeing the pressure that he was under and the scrutiny of media, and we're part of it, you were part of it. Is it too much? Is it unfair?
I think it's unfair because, and I say this often, if let's say Clarko's the best coach in the competition, if he was coaching 18 teams, one would still finish on the bottom. I mean, there has to be a bottom team in the competition. And I think that's, now we've gone from 12 teams to 18 teams. It's a much bigger jump to go from bottom to top. I mean, there's a big talk about equalisation. So I think it is unfair. Everyone's talking about the top 4, and there's about 8 teams finish top 4. Only 4 can get in. Only 8 can get in the top 8. So the reality is there's going to be teams that are down the bottom of the ladder.
What I've realised is that, like, when you need to fix something up because something's not done for you, it's a big job and it takes you away from what you really want to be there for, is coaching
and teaching.
Yeah, coaching and teaching. Yeah.
You guys play in the second week of round 1. Does that offer any reprieve this weekend, or once the footy starts, it will completely dominate you?
Personally, I'd prefer to have next weekend off, just as a personal thing. I think
play and then have a week off.
Yeah, play as we do on the weekend, then have the weekend off, because it sort of separates your pre-season from the start of the season, and it gives, I guess, us coaches a real chance. Like today, it was a confronting day for the players. I mean, we got beaten by 100 odd points, but it actually gives you a chance to then go, right, let's look at our whole pre-season rather than saying, geez, we've got to play next week. What do we got to get right for next week? So I found that, Bomber, a bit better not playing next weekend.
I read your comments after the game on the weekend, and I said, not that I hardly know anything, but I did know that you were going to say exactly that, because the hype after the first game and the hype and the effort after the second, I thought myself, shit, I'm sorry. I thought myself, this is getting out of hand.
Yeah,
they haven't played a game yet.
Yeah, definitely.
There have been some really good efforts.
Yeah.
Reality hits in. It's a tough game, this football. Hawthorn get the pill. They don't often give it back as easy as other.
Yeah.
You couldn't get hands on the pill, and I thought myself, this is a lot more like what Melbourne have to face. And Rizzy came out and said this is a long road ahead for us.
Yeah, look, there's no doubt. I mean, Hawthorn are a great team. You know what they're going to do, and that's what great teams are. You do the same thing over and over and over again, and that was what I said to the players today. They're predictable. It's hard to stop, even though they're predictable to the opposition. So for us, we know where we're at, but it probably was a bit of a message to the football fans. Just settle down. It'll take some time, but we think we're on the right track.
You know, before when you said about the when you're talking about coaching, how the scrutiny and all that bullshit there, when you didn't have it, did you want it back?
Well,
now that we're both back?
Yeah, what you can't replace. I mean, the group of guys, when you're working with a group of guys, and most footy clubs are full of good people, I think that's the thing you do miss, and there is the excitement about seeing a certain player play well and a group play well and a good game against Richmond. You can't replace that. I mean, it's irreplaceable. So, yeah, that's the ups and the downs. You just know they're going to be there and you set yourself for it.
So did you want it back, Bomber?
Yeah, I missed part of it. Yeah, I missed it. Yeah.
You love it a bit, actually. You said, we spoke recently in an interview, that you're back and you knew as soon as you were back, I love this game of football.
Yeah, I love doing it.
And you love it too, Roos.
I think we all love it. I guess if there was no media scrutiny, the coaching would be fantastic because you get to watch videos and you get to go to training and train players. And
no media. When you lose, it doesn't really matter.
So the actual game itself is fantastic, and we're so lucky to be involved in it.
I don't want to leave Hawthorn just yet. Is what Hawthorn doing at the start or in this pre-season frightening for the reigning Premier, or is it just par in your mind?
I think, well, from what I read and what I saw on the weekend, I think they've learned a lot from 2008 going into 2009. I think they're fortunate they didn't have a lot of off-season injuries as well, and you could tell they are up and about.
They're hard, aren't they?
It's early to be up and about, but I mean, what gave us a bit of comfort is they not only smashed us, they smashed North and they smashed Brisbane. So they're in outstanding form going into the season.
Better?
Yeah, I think, well, not better, but they're better than what they handled at the time before, 2008. Yeah.
You were able to do back-to-back, Bomber. And I'm not critical. You won 2 flags. I mean, they're hard to win. And did you win it first or
we won in 05 and lost in 06.
So you nearly got back-to-back. And you nearly got back-to-back. How do you dress with your players, the want, the need? Do you tell them, put it on the table, hey guys, it's back-to-back? Or do you ignore it because everyone knows it?
I think you put it on the table, but by the same token, it's a bit what Hawthorn are doing now. They're just doing what they did last year. So sometimes you can look for a magic pill and say, oh, what are we going to do? How can we change everything? Yeah. I think what Hawthorn's done is fantastic. They haven't changed anything. Yeah, obviously tweaking with their game plan a little bit, but they're hard, they're tough, and they're hard to get the ball back off. And I think that's what we focused on, Bomber, in 06, and I'm not sure about yourself.
Yeah, no, I just focus the process too, but it's hard once they win 2. It's even another problem. So
I remember, sorry, mate. I remember interviewing after you won one. I said, "What do you have to change?" You said, "We must become more selfless."
Yeah.
Like you were really.
I was on to things. Yeah, I wanted to work on things.
On the team aspect, we can only do it as a team to win it. And you said, "Right, I demand more selfless acts on the field." And when you said it, I remember thinking to myself, geez, that's a bit harsh. They've just won the flag. They've been playing a pretty good brand of team football, but to improve, they had to become more team-oriented again.
We had a good 2008, didn't we? We won a lot of games by a lot of points.
Yeah, you did.
I was just at the end, we just couldn't. Could we, Jared?
No, not quite. 8 into 9, Bomber. This is what Fremantle is going through, and this is what we'll track right through, is the hunger generated by losing it when it might have been there to carry through. This is clearly something that you would recognise in Fremantle.
It's such an emotional day that for the stakes, the difference between winning and losing is just absolutely ends of the scale, isn't it? Like the winning, the euphoria is just, dramatic. But the losing, just the pain just lives with you forever. And I had no doubts that it lifted us in 2009 against the Saints.
Without talking about it again, guys?
Well, we won in 05, and I remember in 96 losing as a player. I mean, the first one I played in was 96. I've been playing football for 13, 14 years. It's your best footy day and your worst footy day in the same day. So it's very hard when you're coming out of it. A lot of people say I'd rather not play in one than lose one. I'd probably disagree with that because it's such a... you've got to be in it to have a chance. But it is. It's a shocking footy day when you lose. There's a lot driving Freo, but it's a long way back. That's the other thing people forget. It's a long way to get back there again.
So does it just sit there with Freo? Does it just burn in each of them and each of them knows without talking about it, or does it become part of a regular conversation?
No, I wouldn't think they'll talk about it much. I think they'll just feel it, and just sit in their belly and just in the back of their minds, and they'll just keep using it all year.
Very quickly before we go, we're watching all the pre-season games in Adelaide. Injury. As coaches, and Sando's over there, Bomber, you think, oh my God, this one game could set them back 6 rounds of football.
Well, I had discussion in the box on the weekend, and Chip Frawley was, someone said, let's get him off the ground. It was about the 25-minute mark, and he went across into a pack and crunched, went down, and I thought he was holding his knee, and I thought, that's it, he's done. And
How long after the call was made?
Well, they were calling the stretcher, it would have been 2 minutes after.
Did you
and they were
do it?
calling the stretcher out, but he was obviously conscious. And then my first thoughts were, that's season over. And it's your worst nightmare. It's your worst nightmare, And for Adelaide to go, there's been a lot of injuries pre-season, hasn't there, Bomber?
Yeah. I think a lot of teams are ready to play this year.
Yeah.
When Wenderlich did his hamstring, you would have went, oh, no, not again.
A little bit, yeah. But it's a small one, so it's not so bad.
All right, a reprieve this weekend in Park, and then you're in on the weekend after. So see you next Monday. We've started a long conversation. We look forward to sharing it both with you.
Be good.
Thanks, guys.
On the couch tonight.